for intermediate learners. Listening. Housing for immigrants to the United States. 1. I need a place to live. One of the first things immigrants in a new country need to do is to find a place to live. Most people have to rent an apartment or house the first time around. Renting a house can be challenging. The first thing a person should do is to find an affordable place. There are many options available to a renter when looking for a place to live. The popular website Craigslist.com is a good place to start because it allows the renter to search for places by prices, neighborhoods, number of rooms, and so on. With these filters, renters can view only places that meet their needs. There are, of course, other ways of finding a home. Newspapers also have a section that lists places to rent, or renters can go to a professional broker to find a place. There is also word of mouth, where renters hear about places for rent from friends, colleagues and family. Then there is just the old-fashioned way of driving through neighborhoods in search of "for rent" signs. Renting a place to live can give a person a great feeling of independence, but renting a home comes with great responsibilities also. Renters must first pay for the first and last month's rent when first renting a place. Additionally, there is usually a deposit that must be paid. The amount of this deposit varies. It is up to the owner of the building to establish the amount for deposit, and even though renters are paying rent, the apartment or home still belongs to the owner, which means renters are expected to take care of the place by not damaging their new home. Treat the home like it belongs to you, and everyone will be happy. 2. Should I rent or lease? Getting into a new place to live is a very exciting time. This is especially true if the person looking for a new home or apartment is a first-time renter. Having a place to call your own gives you a great feeling of independence. The question that arises when looking for an apartment or home to live in is it better to rent or lease? Both options have advantages and disadvantages. The best way to go about making this decision is to base it on your own personal situation. Renting is a simple process that usually does not require the person to stay in that space for a specific length of time. In California, and in most states, this is called a month-to-month rental agreement. A landlord will generally require the new renter to pay 2 months of rent in advance. The property owner is also likely to ask for a security or cleaning deposit, or both. The advantage of a month-to-month rental is that the renter can get out of the agreement by simply giving the owner a 1-month notice to vacate. The same applies to the owner. If the owner asks the renter to leave, all he or she has to do is to ask the renter to vacate in 30 days. A lease works a bit differently. It's usually signed for 1 year, so both the renter and the landlord agree to a predetermined length of time the renter will occupy the unit. The renter signs a contract agreeing not to move out of the home for the 1-year period. After that, it works much like renting. There are consequences on the part of both parties if the lease is terminated early though, so it is better to wait your lease out than to terminate it early. 3. It's time to buy a house. Buying a home may be the single most important decision a person can make. It involves several things that a prospective homeowner must know before he or she begins a search for a home. Many newcomers to the United States do not immediately purchase a home simply because of the cost involved. Most people rent a home or apartment first, and this is not a bad way to go about finding your first place to live. Renting is generally cheaper than buying a home, and the lower monthly payment may allow the renter to save a few dollars each month until he or she can afford a home. Finding a good real estate agent is essential to finding a good home. Realtors are paid professionals whose business is to know about home buying. One thing that must be taken into consideration is how much a person can afford. In the United States, home prices vary greatly. This variance is usually based on location and size of the home. For instance, a 3-bedroom house that sits on a quarter lot of land will cost much less in places like Victorville, California, than the very same home in Monterey Park, California. 4. Finding a new home. Most people in the United States live in several different homes throughout their lifetime. Going from one home to another is a difficult task, but it can be manageable if it's done properly. The best thing to do is to create a checklist for all the different things that must be taken care of when you move from one place to another. Utility bills, which include gas, light, and water, must be transferred from your old place to the new one. Additionally, cable and internet service companies should be notified if you choose to continue your service with the same company. The U.S. Postal Service should also be notified of your new address so that your mail can be forwarded to your new address without much interruption of service. In addition to getting all your services transferred to your new home, you should shop for the best possible price from a moving company. Moving company rates vary greatly and it could become very expensive to move from one home to another. Some of the factors moving companies use to establish your costs are distance to the new home and the amount of goods that are being transported. Another option would be to rent a moving vehicle and doing the work yourself. This will certainly cut down your costs, but it is a lot of heavy work. The last thing you need to do when moving to a new place is to inform your family and friends of your new address. This is a courtesy for the most part, but it could help you in the long run. Be sure to change the locks on your new apartment or house. You never want to keep the same locks because you never want strangers to have access to your new home. 5. How to find a house. Buying a home is a big life decision. There are many ways to go about finding a new home. One of the best ways to do this is to find a realtor. Realtors are professional people whose job is to find the right home for the right person. There are many variables involved in choosing where to live, and finding the right realtor can be just as challenging. The first thing to know is that realtors want to sell you a home. Most realtors work on a commission basis, which means they get paid a percentage of what the home costs. The amount of pay varies at different real estate companies. The best realtors want to keep their clients happy by getting them into a home they want and can afford. There are many reputable real estate companies operating in the United States. Some companies have offices in most of the major cities of the country. Some of the things to look for in a realtor are how many homes he or she has sold. It is okay to ask for this information. The realtor must be knowledgeable about homes and the areas you are looking to buy in. Look to see if the realtor is busy, and if his office is listed online. Once you find the right realtor, your house will be next. Be sure to give the realtor all the information he or she asks for. Buyers usually know how much house they can buy. The California market for homes is very competitive, so homes are expensive here. It is good to know how much you can afford to pay per month before you go looking for a home. The area you buy your home can influence pricing to a great degree. The same home in one area could cost significantly more than in other neighborhoods, so shop carefully. That's all for today.
오늘은 여기까지.
Thank you.
감사합니다.